Indiana Jones is standing at the edge of a cliff. The Holy Grail is on the other side. But there's no bridge, just a deadly drop. He's terrified. One wrong step, and it's over. But he realizes a leap of faith is required. So he takes a deep breath and then steps into thin air. And boom, the invisible bridge appears beneath his foot. But of course, it wasn't an invisible bridge. It was just a clever illusion, meant to stop those who didn't dare to move forward. That's what fear is. It looks like death, but it's really a test. The treasure, the thing you want most, is right behind it. And fear is standing guard. In this video, we're going to explore why fear guards our deepest desires and how you can outsmart it, step by step. Because if you're avoiding something right now in your life, there's a good chance it's exactly what you need to do. The counterintuitive truth is that fear isn't a stop sign. It's a signpost and is pointing directly to the treasure. And that step you're avoiding, that's the one that makes the bridge appear. Said another way, the things you want, be it wealth, love, impact, growth, they're hidden in the work you're avoiding. Because again, most things you desire are guarded by fear. And the only way to reach it is by going through that cave, by taking that step. Welcome to Mindflix, where we break down powerful moments from iconic films and uncover the mental models, life lessons, and big questions hiding inside them. If you like this video and want to see more, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss another episode. Imagine this. Let's say there's a treasure chest in a dark cave. And standing in front of that cave is a big, scary monster. Why would the monster be there? Why are the greatest treasures in our life often guarded by fear? Well, the biggest reason is evolutionary wiring. Your brain is wired to keep you safe, not fulfilled or happy. Back in our hunter-gatherer days, risk meant death. And so our nervous system developed to avoid uncertainty, change, or exposure. We want predictability and safety. And when you think, for example, about starting a business, your brain says, "Unknown alert, danger, stop, don't do it." Or when you want to tell someone how you feel about them, your brain says the same thing. Danger, danger, turn back now. Because for your brain, rejection is social death. So your best future often lives behind your biggest inner alarms. Fear is kind of like the bouncer at the door of your potential. And it only steps aside when you show that you're serious. But every time you avoid something that scares you, your brain rewards that avoidance and it says, "Phew, we're safe, good." And so, fear grows stronger and it builds walls that become ever more difficult to break. So here's the trap. Everything that creates meaning in life, growth, love, freedom, it requires risk. So the more you avoid fear, the smaller your life becomes. The cave keeps getting darker and the treasure feels further and further away until you decide to take that step forward. For those of you that know the story of The Hobbit, you'll remember that Bilbo Baggins was absolutely terrified of going into the cave that was also the lair of a dragon called Smaug. But he did it anyway. He entered the cave, and by facing that fear, he ended up uncovering a treasure. Not in gold, though sure there was lots of gold, but he discovered the key to defeat the dragon, a lone gap in its armor. And that ended up helping them defeat the dragon. So there's no question that being able to face a fear head on would hold a great reward in your life. But how do you actually get yourself to do it? Here's the secret. You don't have to fight the monster. You just have to walk past it, even if your knees are shaking. Because the fear, it's mostly made of smoke. Just like Indiana Jones facing that invisible bridge, the treasure didn't reveal itself until he stepped forward, despite the fear. The bridge only appeared after he moved. The fear was the test, and the treasure was on the other side. So how do you get past that? Let's look at some powerful mental models you can use that rewire your thinking and get yourself to move forward despite the fear. Here's an important key shift. Trying to suppress fear only strengthens it. As they say, what you resist persists. So what's the alternative? You have to acknowledge that fear. You give it form, and then you set it aside. This is where a powerful mental technique comes in that I call the sidestep. The sidestep is not about erasing fear. It's about parking it just outside of your focus. And here's how it works. Step 1, you acknowledge the fear. You admit it's there. You don't argue with it. You say, yes, you're here and I see you. And then step 2, you give it a form. Imagine it is something small. It could be a small child, a worried bird, a trembling puppy, or you can even imagine it as a younger version of yourself. Then comes step 3. You separate yourself from it. You need to picture your capable self taking the lead while your fear stays behind. Basically, you're telling that small child, or whatever you imagined, you stay here, I'll go take care of this. And sure, I know this sounds strange, but here's why it works. What you're doing is you're creating mental distance. You're separating yourself from your fears, doubts, anxiety, or nervousness. And this small act of visualization helps you break the emotional loop and returns agency to your mind. It's like creating an alter ego that takes over. It's how we humans are wired. We respond to metaphors and stories. And it just so happens that telling ourselves stories is something we are incredibly good at. And so this metaphor, it makes you the protector. It allows you to be strong for someone else because there are very few things that unleash our inner strength more than having someone to be strong for. For example, maybe you've heard of the TV show Afterlife with Ricky Gervais. In that show, the main character, called Tony, is dealing with depression after his wife died, and he is struggling to carry on. But what keeps him going is his dog's dependence on him. Having to take care of that dog gives Tony purpose, resilience, and the strength to keep moving forward. So ask yourself, who would benefit from my courage? Or who can I be strong for right now? It can be a real person, it can be a pet, or a cause that you believe in, or it can even be an imagined child self, or a little creature that you need to protect. This mental model unlocks the strength of being a protector, and it lets you sidestep your fear. And once you cross that barrier and enter that cave you fear, you'll see that it was all just smoke. It was an illusion. One more thing that can help you on your way is something many self-help videos skip. Yes, using this mental model to sidestep your fear is a very useful mindset hack. But nothing rewires the brain more than taking action. Because movement dissolves fear. And the key is to start small. If you want to write a book, just open a document and save the title. That's just a very small step you can take. Or maybe if you're afraid to ask for a raise at work, the first thing you could do is a very small step as well. It is to open up a Google Doc and list 3 things that you've done that have added value to your team or company. These micro movements, they bypass the brain's threat detector. They're too small to trigger the alarm, but they're enough to start momentum. And small wins compound. Momentum is way stronger than motivation. So to summarize, everything you want in life is almost always guarded by fear. And as the saying goes, the cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek. And to venture into that cave, use the sidestep technique. You don't fight the fear. You visualize it and turn it into a small creature, or even your child's self. So you create mental distance. And then you place them on the sidelines and you tell them, stay here, I'll take care of this. This will shift your focus to being strong for someone else. And then you start executing, you start doing, and you use micro actions to break inertia. Remember, fear isn't the enemy. It's a signpost. It's the flashlight pointing to where the growth and treasure is. The only thing you have to ask yourself now is, what fear, if faced, could change my life? If you want more mind-shifting questions and mental strategies like this, be sure to subscribe. Remember, everything you want is on the other side of one small, brave step. You don't have to be fearless, you just have to move anyway.